Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing really well. I am trying to start like a new series almost on my channel where it's not a wrap up or a reading vlog, but just something like really informal, sit down and chatty about recent reads or anything else that may pop into my head. This is going to be called like Over Coffee, so please grab your beverage of choice, whatever that may be. I have not filmed in quite a few weeks, so I might be a little rusty. I was home, meaning like at my parents' house, for like a week, kind of unexpectedly. Marco and I both went home together for like a family event, and then I ended up staying an extra few days because my company was offering like professional headshots. And because of when I graduated school at the height of the pandemic, I don't have like a professional picture to use. The picture that I currently use is something that my mom took in our family room, which she did a great job, but it's not really up to scratch. So I took that opportunity to go and get like a real headshot, and not my best work, a real confidence killer. It's like very close up, rigid, bright lighting, and it's just like truly horrible. Killed my whole confidence. But alas, so then I ended up staying a few days extra just to like spend time with my family, and then I have been back in the city now for like a week. Rough week. I had a bit of a health scare. I'm okay now, but I did have to take like a few days off of work, and I have this gnarly bruise. So please don't be alarmed if you see that. I am okay now. I would say like 90% recovered. I just haven't filmed at all. But books have been my saving grace, and I thought that I would chat through mainly one recent read that has kind of occupied my mind for the past month. It took me 3 weeks to read, which granted it's like over 600 pages, but more so even than the length of the book, it's not a book that can be rushed. I had to really take my time with it. It challenged me in a lot of ways, specifically the dialogue. I was really thrown at the beginning, and I wasn't even sure that I was going to finish it. And I'm so glad I did, because it has, like I said, occupied my mind for a month now, and it really kind of blew my brain open. So that book is Marlon James's Black Leopard, Red Wolfe. So this is kind of challenging to talk about, also because I'm still kind of reeling. I've now finished it like a week. I'm like a week out, so I feel like I have settled in with my thoughts, but it does kind of have me still reeling. So this is a fantasy novel, and it's epic in all senses of the word. But more so even than that, I think it's not what I expected, and I don't think it's what a lot of people who read fantasy may expect. So it's kind of slow moving in a lot of ways, and it does feel like the pace kind of like slows down, and then we'll pick up for a scene, and then we'll slow down again. And there are moments of like incredible violence and these really visceral moments and scenes, but it's almost, those are kind of sparingly placed throughout the book, and you're not really reading for like this epic plot almost. You're really reading for this landscape and these characters and just the whole like vibe of the book, if that makes sense. So we are following a man named Tracker, and he is known throughout the land. He is famous for his nose. He has the ability that once he smelled a person or a thing, he can like sniff them out throughout any place and find them. So he is kind of hired with a group of other people, and these people are like shapeshifters, witches, monsters, beasts, and etc. And he is hired to find this missing boy who has been missing for quite some time. And as we kind of pick up throughout the novel, we realize that this boy's history is kind of a little bit shady, and who really is this boy? Why are we finding him? Who could have taken him? Etc., etc. But really that plot is like the tippiest tip of the iceberg, and it's not really the point of this book. The point is really like this vast African landscape. We're kind of flung throughout all these different places, through time and place, and it's really about like these characters and this writing. The beings that we read from in this book are so, so, so cool. Like, it's this perfect blend of like this epic high fantasy, but more so like this African mythology, and like they're really married well in this book. But like I said before, I was struggling at the beginning because the dialogue specifically is challenging, like almost like the machinations of the dialogue, but more so than that, like the who is speaking kind of thing. And I do think that I'm fairly well versed in that now, like figuring out who's speaking when it's not stated very clearly, because of like Hilary Mantel specifically. I feel like she really challenged me in that way with her Cromwell trilogy, and now I can pick that out for myself, but you have to move slowly with this book. But it kind of blew my whole brain open. I'm so glad I read it, and I really picked it up because it's like not a sequel. Because it's not necessarily taking place directly following this book, but another book in the same world just came out, and that's Moonwitch Spider King. So following characters who made an appearance, made a splash in this book, and we're following them from like a different perspective. So while I am so eager to pick that up, I also know that I need like a hefty break. Not because I didn't absolutely love this, but like I said, it took me a little bit over 3 weeks to read, and it's also like heavy. And I just kind of need to settle and read other things before I return to this universe and this writing. But it was incredible. I'm so glad I read it, and now I understand the hype, because like the blurb of this book does nothing for the actual context or content. So yes, this has been like really my main book for the past few weeks. But after that, I picked up a book that didn't leave much of a impression on me, so I'm just not even going to mention it. I'll talk about it in my wrap up. But I am currently reading The Beach by Alex Garland, which is kind of like a modern classic, a little bit Lord of the Flies energy, a little bit uncomfortable, and an Eden-like paradise that goes south very quickly. So we have, where I am in the novel, we've just arrived at the beach. So we are following a man who, he's not a tourist, he's a traveler, fa la 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 la, and he is in Thailand and meets up with this French couple, and they kind of want to wage their own path. They don't want to do the typical Thailand touristy European thing. And so they hear about this island through a series of unfortunate events. Okay, my apologies if I move slightly. So they hear about this island that is supposed to be uninhabited. It's this Eden-like paradise, this lagoon landscape, and they do a lot of sketchy shit to get there, and they swim out there and very quickly learn that they are not alone on this island. It's already inhabited by a bunch of other white European travelers who have basically created their own beach resort, and it's a little bit commune-esque, and they all have different roles and jobs and positions, and it's definitely like this great foreshadowing, and it's kind of getting a little bit eerie, and I know the shit is gonna hit the fan soon, but it's just like an easy, enjoyable read, so I'm glad I picked this up. But more so even than books, I've been watching like some great TV recently, which I know I've mentioned a little bit before, but like after Mark, when I finished Broad City, I like did not know how to pick up the pieces of my life, and I was like, will I ever find a show that will just make me laugh like this one did? But we are watching, or I am watching it. Marco hasn't watched it at all, actually. I'm watching The Great, which I'm so obsessed with. It's like rompy and absurdist, and the set dressing and the costume design and the incredible banter is just like endlessly entertaining, and I'm so obsessed with it. But other than that, like we've been watching some like brainless shows in the background, like that I'm not invested in, and we watched like Peacemaker and that John Cena show, and I was really only there for like the like opening credits, like the little dancing thing. But when I was home, my dad and I started watching again, like we had started it and then kind of fell out of it, and we started again The Witcher. And I know that that's not objectively good TV, but it's so entertaining, and like I will say the fight scenes are pretty good. I'm not gonna like give them crap on the fight scenes. I think those are pretty well done, but everything else is like ridiculous. But I am super entertained, and I know that Peaky Blinders is coming back, which is my actual favorite show that I've ever watched. And I'm not even sure like how we can get that. I don't know if they're gonna like live release it on TV or how that's gonna work, but I need to figure that out because I'm so excited for that to come back. But yes, other exciting news is that the Women's Prize Longlist was announced. And I am so excited. It's kind of strange though, because a lot of the books on the long list, not many really like jumped out at me that I was super interested in. The main one, or actually I will say there's 3, Salt Lick, Build Your House Around My Body, and the Book of Form and Emptiness are ones that I was really interested in. I think I will read the shortlist again because I really enjoyed doing that last year. I enjoyed making that video, and also I found 3 new favorite books, Piranesi, Transcendent Kingdom, and How the One-Armed Sister Sweeps Her House. So the main book that I'm so excited about on this list that I will read regardless of whether it is shortlisted or not is called The Book of Form and Emptiness by Ruth Ozeki. And it's like, it sounds like this blend of like A Peculiar Peril by Jeff Vandermeer and A Series of Unfortunate Events and just like this weird literary hellscape, but it sounds so fun. So it is about after the tragic death of his beloved musician father, 14-year-old Benny O's begins to hear voices. The voices belong to the things in his house: a sneaker, a broken Christmas ornament, a piece of wilted lettuce. Benny doesn't understand what these things are saying, but he can sense their emotional tone. Some are pleasant, and others are snide, angry, and full of pain. When his mother Annabelle develops a hoarding problem, the voices grow more clamorous. At first, Benny tries to ignore them, but soon the voices follow him outside of the house, driving him at last to seek refuge in the silence of a large public library where the objects are well behaved and speak in whispers. There, Benny discovers a strange new world where things happen. He falls in love with the mesmerizing street artist with a smug pet ferret who uses the library as her performance space. He meets a homeless philosopher poet who encourages him to ask important questions. And he meets his very own book, a talking thing which narrates his life and teaches him to listen to the things that truly matter. So that one sounds so cool. But yeah, I really trust this prize, and it makes me really excited to hopefully, the shortlist gets announced like the middle to end of April, sorry. So that is when I will be picking a bunch of these books up. But I'm really jazzed about it. And now that I'm back in the city, it feels like spring is truly springing. It's a really great feeling. Mark, when I moved in like the depths of winter. So just a lot of things that weren't happening. And as we know, I am trying to put myself out there and really fight my natural instinct, which is to be like a hermit in my house and never leave. And I am pretty proud of myself. I feel like I don't take every single opportunity that arises, but I am really putting myself out there, and I'm socializing. With the past 2 nights, Mark, when I have went out and met up with friends, and I actually, of course, go out one time and fall asleep in my makeup and wake up with a zit front and center on my nose, but alas. But now that it is nice out, I am really looking to join something that's not, like, to find a new hobby. Of course, I love to read, I love to work out, but those are things I mainly do, like, by myself, and I am kind of starting like a mini book club with Marco's coworker. I read the John Boyne book with him, so that's really nice, like meet up and talk about a book with somebody, but mostly it's me like on my couch reading by myself and then like working out by myself. So I was thinking of looking into like a pottery class or a drawing class or even a running club, because Marco and I went to Central Park last week and just walked around, and there was a lot of different running groups, and none of them looked like amateurs to me, so I would need to find people who would accept me not being a runner. I used to be, but I haven't run in a long time, and I actually was like, maybe I should like try to work on my cardiovascular fitness and not just, weight lift. And I got on the erg machine at my gym, and I used to row. I was on the crew team in high school and college, and we would like be on the erg machine 5 days a week at 5 a.m. And I was like, I could, get back into it. It might be a little dusty, but I could like, figure it out. And I was humbled. I literally did it for 10 minutes and was like on my ass on the gym floor, like exhausted. So I was like, maybe a pottery class would be more my jam at this point in my life. So that's something I'm looking into. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this kind of casual, chatty video. I hope to do more of them, maybe like once a month. So I'm not just, wrapping up like the same thing every single month. I want to do something a little bit different. But I hope you enjoyed this first little iteration of Over Coffee. Let me know what you have been recently reading/watching. If you also love The Great, I would love to talk about it. I'm freaking obsessed. And I will see you very soon in another video, hopefully. Bye, everyone.